Right, welcome to another Battlefield terrain tutorial. This video I've got a desert setup here for Warhammer 40,000 featuring some newly painted up terrain. So in this video I'll give you a full breakdown of how you can set up a table just like this for your games of Warhammer 40,000. So as per usual, I'll leave as many links as I can in the video description below. I'll link out to some tutorials already live and then to the different products that I've used here as well. It's all built up in layers and I'll take you through step by step. This is fresh off the painting desk, this stuff. Some of it's still not quite dry yet. And as you can see, the colours that I've been using. So, desert theme is a fantastic theme. Armies can look really, really good on a desert backdrop. I'm planning to use the Eldar on here. And as you can see, look at their colours. They'll be very striking fighting across this battlefield. So it's a brilliant setup that you can do. And the techniques that you can see it just here on the portal. It's very, very easy. It didn't take too long. So what I'll do is I have a tutorial on the way for that. And then in this video, I'll give you a brief rundown as well, because it's quite straightforward how that effect can be achieved. And the whole point of this series is to help you, to show you how straightforward it is to get nice looking terrain on the board. And there's no reason why you can't get a terrain setup that looks exactly like what you see here on this table. So the first step is your foundation. So it's one of the battle mats from gamemat.eu. Sands of Time, this one, there was a version 1. This is the second version, which they changed the graphics around a little bit. And then obviously this one is now in the 60 by 44 inches. So it's the correct size for your regular games of Warhammer 40,000 10th edition. So that just immediately gives you the colour palette and foundation. There's some nice details on this. You can see the brickwork there in the sand, the cracked ground as well, but it's a great foundation for a desert themed board. So I'll put a link for that mat in the video description below. We carry 11% discount code here for the channel, so make sure to use that. I believe there is a 20% discount code running across the store that's still running at the moment, so you can take advantage of that as well. So it's the mouse mat material. So it's like your rubber mouse mat material here and the design printed on top. Nice and quiet for dice rolling, figure friendly, and then this just rolls up every time. It comes with a storage case as well, a carry case that you can use. You can carry it around, store them away nicely each time. So very impressed with the battle mats. They're durable, they last for years, and you get plenty of games with them. And it's a brilliant foundation for your terrain. So usually what I do is then I take the battle mat and then work the terrain on top of that, trying to match the terrain in with the mat to make it look like the whole thing belongs on the same board. So then to build up the terrain, terrain is from gamemat.eu. It's a larger set called the Industrial Terrain set. It's one of the first sets that they did, but it's still one of my favourites. It's a great way for building up a board. In that Industrial Terrain set, you get 4 of these. You get 4 of these large containers here, like Uniform armor containers, but bigger. So there's one of those, 2, 3, and there's a 4th one, which is unpainted. You'll see it in just a moment. You get 2 of these. I've got a number of these sets. I've been painting these up to match, so I can include multiple stacks of the pipes on the board, but you get 2 of those. They look like this. So you get 2 of them in that set. You also get boxes, about a dozen crates and boxes, which don't feature on the board here, but you get those in with the set as well. You also get the large structure over in that corner, all part of the Industrial Terrain set. So as you can see, it fills out the table really well. And then I've added in the web portal, it's called. It's a single terrain piece. It's all cast as one solid piece. It's a larger piece, brilliant focal point to have on the board. So I've added that in, and that really helps to fill this table out quite nicely. So I have Games Workshop terrain on the way to match in with this terrain style. I've painted up the gamemat.eu stuff first. As you can see, it fills out the table quite nicely. But there is some Games Workshop stuff on the way, which I'll do another version of this board once that is ready. But we've gone for this abandoned outpost, this sort of rusty sand blasted effect here for this terrain. So if it's not live already, there'll be a tutorial, a full painting tutorial, how you can transform this terrain to this colour scheme. But for now, in this video, I'm going to give you a walkthrough, a quick rundown of how I achieved this painting effect. It's this rusty effect and all the chipping. It's fast and effective. I got all this terrain painted in a single afternoon. Once you've got your terrain painted, you can then use it for many games. So, quite briefly, the industrial terrain comes pre-painted. and pre-made, just take it out of the box and use it, but that's how it comes when it arrives. So you could use it on this board, okay, but then to transform it from this to the desert style, and again, there'll be a tutorial on this, but I'll run through briefly how that's done. So you've already got quite a nice colour scheme going on here, so nice sort of foundational brown and grey colours going on with this. So the first thing I do is sprays. It's sprays and techniques here. There's no real brushwork involved. So it's Munitorum varnish first of all. That will seal up the paint job that's already been done. Then holding the terrain piece and spraying from underneath, and also spraying deeper into the cracked areas is a darker brown, sort of medium darker brown. So I've lost the lid here, but it's Army Painter Leather Brown. Now I don't spray solid because your colours are already pretty good with this. So just sort of spray in, and you'll see it in the tutorial, just spraying general areas and mainly focusing on the bottom of this. And then you're going to come in at a higher angle down with the other sprays. Then the other two sprays that I use, this one is called Sunset Yellow, and it's by Colour Forge. It comes in a nice big tin. You can get that from the OUTPOST, link for that in the video description below. But I use that, a general spray, but quite light, again, just patchy as well, not going too over the top with that. Then once that spray is done, then a final finish with a bit of desert sand. Spray, it's that kind of colour just there, and again it's just a light spray coming in at a higher angle, not spraying directly in or from underneath, just trying to catch the shadows, so just spraying in from that kind of angle with that. But you'll see it in the tutorial, and that builds up the colours, gives you a nice gentle shading going on. There's no paintwork involved, you're just using the sprays and then just transforming it from this kind of colour over to this kind of more desert themed colour. So it's easily done. It takes about 15-20 minutes to spray the whole lot. The next stage is the shading. Now I've used, it's all the rage at the moment, it's called Rust, Dirty Down Rust it's called. It's actually been used in the film industry for props and so on, just to create a rusty effect. I'll cover this in the tutorial. There are some important tips when using this stuff. It is expensive, so it's worth getting it right. But as you can see in here, yeah, you can see the rust. You get some very interesting effects coming through with this stuff. So, and then down here as well, if I perhaps zoom in, you can see the very realistic kind of rusty effect that you can achieve with this wash. So I've used this to shade, and I've also used it to flood into areas to create the rusty kind of effects as well. I'll cover it in the tutorial, but that's the key stuff. That's been used to all the shading here and all the rusty effects, and you can get some amazing results. Here's my palette where I watered it down, and look at the rusty kind of effects that you can get with it. It's amazing stuff. It's very interesting material to use, this one. So there's that one. I'll cover that in the tutorial. This is just a quick walkthrough here. And then the final finish, because it's pretty much done, is this chipping effect that you can see across the model. I used to brush that effect, but now it's much quicker just to use a piece of sponge. Darker metallic, lighter metallic. Darker metallic first, and then the lighter metallic just to finish off the chipping. Again, if I just zoom in, and there you go, you can see the chipping effect. That's all done with sponge. So again, no brushwork involved. The skill level is just basic requirement. The two metals that I've used for this one is, this one's called steel. It's Dark Star Molten Metals. Squeeze it out onto your mixing palette and then just dab into it with the sponge, and then just go straight on like so. Again, I'll cover it in the tutorial. Once that's dry, I just flip the sponge around to the lighter metallic. This one is called Graphite, again by Dark Star Molten Metals. Again, these are available from the OUTPOST. It's their own range that they do. They're brilliant. They're fantastic paint, so link for that in the video description below. But all sponge effect here, so you're getting this kind of effect very, very quickly. That's going on top of your rusty effect. You can see the rusty effect going on in here as well with the Dirty Down Rust. So brushwork pretty much non-existent. You're just washing in and then doing the chipping effect, and that's bringing up the terrain very, very quickly, and you can see the different kind of textures and results that you can get, all using the same process. So all the desert terrain you can see across here has been painted up with that process. So that's how that's done. That's for the portal. all the terrain across here has been painted up in that way. It's taken me about an afternoon to do it, which for a full-on terrain set is pretty good going. So techniques just to speed things up means that it's achievable getting a whole terrain set done. Because I know the feeling, the worst thing that can happen is you buy terrain, you paint one piece, and then it takes ages, and then you give up, and you've lost the motivation, the will to try and paint the entire set. But with something that's a fast process, it really is realistic that within 3-4 hours you can get an entire set painted up, so which is very achievable. So that's the idea with that tutorial. So if it's not live already, it'll be coming out, and you can follow that along for the terrain painting. So that fills out the table quite nicely. Next is Games Workshop terrain accessories. We've got some pipes from them, some of their boxes and barrels and so on dotted around the table. Then you can see these walkways. These are handcrafted, made from Plastruct and aluminium car body repair kit, the mesh. Same with these chain link fences as well. There is a tutorial for that is live on the channel. It also includes how to make these 40k themed posters as well. So these are all handmade. They're brilliant just for dotting around the battlefield, just to give it that kind of 40k feel to the table. There's a Morty 9 guard one across the other side. So that tutorial is live. It's been out for a while, and that'll guide you through the process of how you can make the walkways. I think they're a brilliant job. You can just use them to span across different areas. And the fences are a great sort of perimeter type design as well. There's a walkway across this as well, so the models can move across the warp portal. But that tutorial is live on the channel. I'll put a link for that in the video description below. And then to finish off, the final finishing touches, and this makes such a difference. It's really worth doing. I've got some lichen in some desert themed kind of colours. Some mixed shades going on with the general desert theme. I don't want green lichen on this board. I want something that's desert kind of feel to it. There's lichen you get off eBay. Aquatic shops, model railway shops will have it, so you can get it from there. Just get a bag of it and then just randomly place those around the board. And then finally, just to blend the whole thing, is the stones and scatter. So these stones came from a beach. They're kind of a pastel colours coming through. I wanted them to match in with the desert theme, so I actually put these into a tray, spread them out, and then you can spray them with the same sprays that you used for the terrain. So you're again an exact match with the stones that you use. It's best to go natural if you can. If you buy bags that have been sifted and processed, you're going to get stones that are generally the same kind of size. It looks unnatural. If you can pick them up from a natural source, if possible, you get that more random natural kind of look. And I just spread them around, tuck them in, just to blend the terrain into the board as nicely as possible. And that finishes off the table, and that gives you your desert terrain theme. So that's the tutorial. Foundation for the battle mat, then your terrain. This stuff's all coming from gamemat.eu. The portal and the industrial terrain set fills up the table quite nicely. There's another piece obviously to come once that's been painted up as well. That fills up your table well. To give it that 40k feel, you can then incorporate some of the battlefield accessories. And then to finish the whole thing off, you're looking at your lichen and your stones and scatter. It's worth making the effort with terrain. Armies look great, but when they've got a nice terrain backdrop, it really does enhance and gives you much more enjoyment when you play your games of Warhammer 40,000. Perhaps you can work on it with a friend, team up together, and generate some great terrain. So links in the video description below. Tutorials I'll link out to as well, and keep a lookout for the tutorial for the desert theme using the dirty down rust and sponge effect techniques. So that's the video. As per usual, we'll fade out here with some music just to capture the theme of this desert table. Thanks for watching, and tune in next time.